by Neon, if everything is working correctly. Hello?
Hello, hello. Hi!
I mean,
hi.
What the hell? This is now the second time in 2 weeks that you guys pull off such an incredible comeback. It feels like it was not as difficult as the one versus G2 though, so I'd love to get your perspective on how you got back into that game.
Well, we have like a team fighting comp, right? With like really strong carries, and basically the enemy team has to like kill the carries with the flank somehow. And what ended up happening is that the team fight went on too long. I had full Phantom Dancer stacks, full Conqueror stacks, and we were just able to not die like in the early stages of the team fight, and then I like just clean up and do like the Jinx things, right, with getting excited. So they just didn't play team fights as well as they should have, I think, with their gold lead, and that allowed us for a comeback. And with our comp, that's like exactly what we need.
Quick question, what happened with the DC? I remember I saw on social media there was a DC around the Dragon fight. Was it everyone? Was it just one person?
Okay, so what happened in the game, since we're all playing from our gaming house, where the internet is probably not the best, we all 5 DC'd in game, but we were like still on voice, right? And then when we actually got back on our screens and we saw that the game was paused, we suddenly saw like members of Fnatic like next to us that they weren't previously there, right? So that was a bit sketchy because we weren't sure what was happening. Like we weren't sure how many seconds have passed since we were like DC'd. And then when we unpaused the game, we all went into a slow motion, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
for a while,
like
and then we had to pause it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had to pause again, and then we were like, okay, this fight is probably lost, so let's just run, guys, and try to not lose the game right now. And yeah, that was a bit unfortunate.
Unfortunate, but apparently it didn't matter. Where it ranks in terms of your comebacks, oh, I hope you're not feeling too bad, by the way, is that 9.1k gold deficit. It was in this one. The other one versus G2 was, of course, 13.5. Yeah. Rather, in a twisted way, is this great practice for playing from behind, Neon?
I mean, not really. I mean, we haven't like showcased good early game, right? Which is a worrying trend, I would say. But we've showcased that we can actually come back and we play team fights really well, and we play well together in team fights, which I think is, on the other hand, very good, right? So I think we have like clear goals that we need to work on for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And like last game of the Super Week.
On the other hand, though, I know you gave an interview. I don't know if it was for general broadcast or on broadcast, but you talked about how VTO is, of course, getting a lot of the praise for the roster. I think deservedly so, but you called out specifically Mursa, I believe, for also having a great season. I think in that regard, this should be a big confidence game for you, right? For you and for the rest of the team, because VTO couldn't really do that much in this one.
No, I mean, the early game was really rough. We had very unfortunate dive in the bot lane, where we didn't like communicate properly certain things. And yeah, I think both Mursa and Zlatan play a huge role in our success this split so far. So I think like they should be getting a lot of praise as well, because they oftentimes set the carries up very well.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about early game, is that something you're going to work on? I mean, 2 weeks break, is that going to be the main focus before playoffs start?
It's actually 3 weeks break, I think. But yeah, I mean...
Oh, wait,
no?
Yes, you're
Isn't
right.
it?
Yes, you're right.
Technically, it is, because you have the week for really leading up.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks, you're right. So.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, the early game is a bit worrying, and I'm sure if we like all focus on it, we can like make sure that these things don't happen. I mean, partially, it's also drafts. Or like in G2 game, it might have been a bit draft, and sometimes there's like unlucky things happening. But yeah, our early games haven't been the cleanest, and I think if we are able to look back on them, we can also improve. So that's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Yeah, I like that you're introspective and you're saying, hey, yeah, we brought these games back, but we'd rather not do that, right? So we got to work on our early game. Thank you so much, Neon, and I hope you feel better.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And after the break, we will get in... No, not after the break. We're going to go to a video because it's time for a match of the week. Vitality versus G2 in our LG Ultra Gear match of the week.
We are now entering the last week of spring and the teams have everything to play for. And the final 3 games will decide their future.
So this match against Vitality is super important. It will basically decide who gets the top 4 seed. So we really need to make sure we win it.
I don't really feel too stressed with our current situation. I've been in this spot already many times, so it's nothing new to me.
And especially because we're also playing against Perkz. I need to make sure that I beat him and give him back from last time I played.
There's a shot on to two! The hook coming in from Labrov. He hits him last game, he hits him this game. Maybe he's expecting Alphari to go aggressive. Selfmade's behind as well. Can leap in, flash in on him! Vitality need to find a way past these traps, past the Corki package. Falling away, instantly Selfmade gonna leap in, he's gonna get it! Carzzy stepping up, stepping forward and knocking down G2 Esports.
It'll always be fun playing against them. The club that I built. It's just more fun playing against people who you've never faced before, right? And you can get more excited for the match.
A rivalry that has spanned multiple teams and multiple years once again bubbles to the surface.
So Perkz and me have been playing each other for a long time now.
Season 6, I was just better than everybody else.
When I joined the league in 2017, he was the mid lane to beat. He proceeds to win 2 more against me.
I felt like threatened by him. He was definitely one of the most talented players that's ever joined the league.
I really wanted to beat him, and luckily I did the next year. Only for us to then join together.
Now it's even like more fun to face him.
There's a lot of games against each other, a lot of solo kills, and I'm hoping that I get a few more this game.
First blood to Babyfaker!
He just solo killed Perkz!
Who has more trophies? Who's like the most successful player of all time? Well, that answers the question, right?
Facing Selfmade is always fun, right? He's also playing with my ex mid laner, so I want to show that, he made a mistake by leaving me and going to Selfmade. That makes sense.
This is the final week of the LEC and the final hurdle for each of these teams.
Finally, time for our match of the week. I also love particularly the way Jankos says, like, my ex.
My ex.
And, like, it lingers.
He's left me. He's left me.
It's awesome. Well, we talked about this at length already at the top of the day, but for the people who hadn't joined us then, what a fantastic mid lane matchup, which really embodies the stories of these two teams clashing, and a matchup we may very well also see in those playoffs. But here's the kicker. Vitality is not yet locked into those playoffs, and that's why this is such an important game.
But a win here would lock them into playoffs. If they lose, then of course it comes down to tomorrow with Mad and Vitality, how their games play out. But yeah, just behind us, Caps versus Perkz is like the pillars of European international success in more recent years, up against one another. So much experience, so many titles. They played together, they played against each other under different organizations, and now once again they're against each other. On
Niski's tier list, they were 4 and 5, and I think that kind of spells out the story of these two mid laners so far, right? We have the mid laners of the likes of VIT and Larsen and Humanoid, who've risen up the ranks over the past couple of years, and some like Humanoid and VIT are really turning heads right now. But you do see that as the season is ramping up, specifically for Caps, he has been putting on those carry performances more often than he has in the last, I would even say, couple of months in general, or maybe even last year. The Sylas performance, the Azir performance just yesterday, definitely ramping up.
Definitely are, and I mean, they've had so many pop-off games in their career, so it's like second nature to them when they are doing so well, and it's kind of second nature to the viewer to be like, oh, Caps is playing really good again. Of course, he's Caps, right? When it comes to players like VTO and stuff, it's like, wow, this guy's really, really good. So it's a kind of different vibe you get from the players. But I mean, so much experience. I think it's just an interesting thing of like Caps is now playing more playmaking mid so that he can be the one to kind of dictate the pace of the game. And Perkz is finding the middle ground of, do I want to play supportive champions? Yesterday we saw the Yasuo. His Orianna has been consistent. What kind of end of the spectrum does he want to go on in terms of how much carry potentially has?
And it doesn't look like for G2, the system has been overhauled so much. Caps can still play the same role, even though BrokenBlade is, of course, taking a prime role in that team now as well. You are in a situation where Perkz now has to adjust together with all those other big players on that team to find out what is the best way forward for us as Vitality.
Yeah, what worked for them was playing through top, and I mean, G2, that's their bread and butter, right? So I feel like topside draft's going to be so important. I mean, yesterday, Vitality early rotating Diana, Renekton, Yasuo tells you enough about how they want to play the game, whether it's a supportive mid or an all-in mid. G2 are going to look to match that, and Caps is going to look to match that.
For a fantastic match of the week, let's toss it over to Guldborg and Medic.
Thank you very much, Sjokz and Caedrel. And we are here for the final game of the day. Vitality up against G2 Esports, a battle of former teammates, but also a battle of stakes. G2 have yet to lock their top 4 spot. If they win, they do. Vitality have yet to lock their playoff spot. If they win, they do that.
And it's not only just that, it's also just these two teams, the way they're playing League of Legends, it's a quite similar style in terms of how cocky they are. These are the two cockiest teams we have in the league in terms of just how they're drafting. We saw it yesterday, even the desk was saying, well, if Caps didn't have the pop-off game he did on the Azir, well, XL just had a better draft to pilot. And even as they just mentioned now, the Diana, Renekton, Yasuo, so many playmaking champions where it's like if we fall behind as we saw against the Poppy, it just doesn't work out. And not only that, also just the way they would play it in game.
Let's hope for some playmakers once again. G2 versus Vitality up next. And into the draft we go. Match of the week between these two teams. We've had some bangers this week, so hopefully it lives up to its name. So far, we have seen Jinx just tear through everyone in Summoner's Rift. Like, you just can't let a team get Jinx, it seems. Rise, the first ban from Vitality.
Yeah, and I wonder Twisted Fate as well. How much priority is that going to have between the two mid laners like Perkz and like Cap that's already shown that they like playing these two champions already? Enabling the rest of the map means so much, and there we go, Twisted Fate banned away as well, especially when you have the matchup that is Alphari versus BrokenBlade. Two of the top laners that likes to take a lead in the laning phase, gets a lot of resources as well. I don't think this game is going to be too much about the bot side. I think it's going to be very solo lane focused.
Right, at the moment, Vitality decided that they want to get rid of the Jhin alongside the Twisted Fate and the Rise. Jace and Zeri, there's the Jinx taken away by G2. Not willing to let Carzzy get his hands on it, thank goodness. And now Vitality have a few different options. Obviously, things like the Aphelios are there, but Xin as well, a very strong jungler, still left open.
And let's see what they will actually, because you have the power picks in the Zhao if you want to go for that in the jungle. Hecarim is also one of them. Gwen, also one of the champions we've talked about that's been up and available. And I know I just said it might just be about the top side. You can go for an Aphelios here, which would prompt a Caitlyn pick, and all of a sudden we'll have a bot side dominated draft instead. But G2 Esports, I mean, they quite often are coming out with surprising picks in draft. It's very difficult to predict what they're going for, but with their Karma coming in like this, you could go Karma Aphelios or Karma Caitlyn.
Could also go Karma up towards the top side of the map. It is a flex pick option. Not really BrokenBlade's style, but a possibility. There's the Xin alongside it, so Aphelios still an option for G2. They could, of course, wait to see what Vitality go for. Aphelios, Carzzy's second most played after Jinx this season, something that he has seemed to revert to when needed. Said the Caitlyn Lux an option for Vitality here.
And just like that, you kind of have to play it down towards the bot side. Whenever Caitlyn falls behind, she never really does much. But when she gets ahead, well, that's where she starts getting real scary. But Caitlyn paired up with Tahm Kench is an option we haven't really seen all too much of. And if G2 Esports were to lock in the Ezreal here for Flakked, well, that would enable a lot of roaming possibilities, or with just a poke bot lane in general, where you take a lot of lane control, you use the Mystic shots, use the Karma Qs, and all of a sudden the Caitlyn doesn't get to be as aggressive as we usually see her be.
It's not something we've seen Flakked pick up so far in Season 12 in 2022, but it is his third most played across the course of his career. That Ezreal, and now locked in for G2. As you said, gives him a lot of comfort down towards that bottom side, gives you push, but also gives you the option just to play on the weak side of the map and let that Karma get out of lane.
Yeah, and that goes to Cillian coming through as well. Usually with Hecarim as well, we love seeing the control mages like the Orianna. Everything that really gives that speed up from the mid lane is a super pivotal 2v2 coming out from. So I'm expecting G2 Esports to have a lot of focus in the mid lane instead. On the opposite side of the end, we get to see Graves actually being taken away, which is usually a top laner that's alone, weak side. It doesn't get too many resources, where I actually expect BrokenBlade to come up with something a bit more spicy, something that has a bit more carry potential. And yeah, there we go. Ariana taken away from G2, or from Vitality by G2.
Get rid of some of those mid laners that can facilitate the Hecarim. Vitality thinking about their final ban here. Could still try and focus down BrokenBlade. Akshan is actually his most played, but he's had a retinue of different picks this spring. So it's very hard to lock down BrokenBlade in the top lane, especially considering he's got counter pick here as well, if they so desire.
Last time they played here, they went for Corki, and that was the Corki into the Orianna, where Caps quite frankly got a little bit destroyed by Perkz here. I'm actually wondering if G2 Esports is looking for a siege composition when they already have the Karma, they already have the Ezreal. You don't necessarily have to play the team fighting composition. You can play the fight where you outrange them, where you play the scaling game, and where you just wait it out, and you can do so while you don't really have a bot lane to play for Vitality at the moment. At least it's going to be difficult into the Ezreal. So a lot of the pressure actually is on Alphari right now. We've seen him be on the Gangplank before as well, which has been a great pick for him. It's also something that lets you play around with the range. You can slow down your opponent and lessen the gap when you run them down with a Hecarim when they're slowed by the cannon barrage.
Yeah, another facilitator for that Hecarim to get onto the backline. Just the slow from the cannon barrage, and there it is, Gangplank. It seems for Vitality, they follow your reasoning and they agree with it. Now, Perkz in the mid lane against his former teammate, against his former bot laner, his former mid laner, and of course, and his former jungler. We'll see what he decides to lock in. Syndra, relatively safe in the mid lane, does give you some range. It can be harassed down a little bit by the Corki when those missiles do come online.
Yeah, so now I actually wonder if you're just looking for pure disengage on the side of G2, because quite usually we see BrokenBlade going for something that can push in an opponent. He got counterpicked this time around. Last time these two teams faced off, they went for the Gragas, and Gragas still a great pick to kind of just push them away, but I'm not too sure if it makes sense here.
Corki top.
You are saying it. You are saying it is good into GP.
Already once.
You're true. It is good into GP. It's true, but
it's going to be the Tryndamere instead for BrokenBlade. Played it last week against Misfits. They got a massive early lead, and of course, Tryndamere in a split burst position at the moment can just be devastating.
But once again, it's a siege composition coming out from G2. BrokenBlade can apply some pressure, but we're not looking at a team fight composition from G2. We're looking at an approach where you want to get a pressure around the lanes, then you want to be first on the objectives, and you want to poke out your opposition before they can come in and start the team fight. It's realistically ending the team fight before it begins. Where on Vitality's side, you got tools to run them down, you got pick potential, you got cannon barrage on Alphari, and these are the tools we're looking for when we get in game. Right now, I'm looking very much into the mid to late game, seeing how it's going to function, but there's still the small lanes you can play for. BrokenBlade in the early game, and especially the Caitlyn as well from the side of Vitality.
Definitely avenues to approach in the early game, but it feels like mid-game, late-game team fights and the poke possibility from G2 is what it's all going to come down to. Of course, poke struggles when you do fall behind. If you are constantly run down by Vitality, G2 will have a difficult time navigating this game. A lot on the line for them as well. A win here would lock them in the top 4, give them that double elimination that they've used so many times before. For Vitality, Mad Lions breathing down their neck, looking to knock Vitality out of playoffs in what would be one of the biggest falls from grace for these players in a long, long time. Let's get on into the action. Vitality versus G2. A lot on the line for these two teams as we see them make their way onto Summoner's Rift. Caps and Perkz facing off against each other once again. Something we've obviously seen earlier in this season. As you say, Perkz had the upper hand then.
It was a tough lane for Caps. He was playing Corki as well, and continuously he was just shoved in under his tower, which allowed Perkz to have a lot of playmaking. And still, in this instance as well, in the early game, there is room for Perkz to punish a Corki. If he gets a scatter, gets the stun, well, It is a very squishy AD carry you're still using in the mid lane.
And was nerfed a couple of patches as well, the Corki. I mean, you don't get your first package until 10 minutes into the game. Means you usually can't fight around the first Rift Herald or around the first Dragon. And it spawns at only a 5-minute interval now instead of 4 minutes before. So you can't use it at every Dragon fight either.
Well, the thing is, if you time it correctly, you still kind of can. 30 seconds before, then wait the 5 minutes, and you get it 30 seconds afterwards as well. So, I mean, the damage output of Corki has not been fully nerfed, but you're completely right. He is by no extent as oppressive as he used to be in the past. And G2, we've actually seen them do this a lot lately, which is going for a late invade. Actually, we've seen quite a few teams go for this. I think it might be a Scrim culture thing as well, where they've been kind of just been caught off guard by this, and no vision has actually been tracked onto Jankos in the early game. They'll see BrokenBlade coming from the river, but that will be the only intel they're really getting in terms of where Jankos started.
And the question there is, did BrokenBlade just walk in to get a ward down? Was Jankos with him when he walked in? You don't actually know that Jankos is on that top side, although you can make the assumptions. Assuming something in a game at this caliber can often lead to mistakes for your team. We'll see what Selfmade does with the information that he's garnered, but for the moment, they don't know for sure that Jankos has started this blue.
Yeah, so Alphari actually had an early ward in the top side as well. I'm kind of wondering if Jankos would be looking for any top lane shenanigans in the early game, where GP usually gets to have to push in against Tryndamere, which means that he'd be a little bit overextended Alphari, so I think that's a very intelligent ward having here. Jankos can obviously just default back to his red side jungle, come again from the tri-bush, but see what he does after the grump. In the mid lane in itself, we kind of see how it works with a Syndra into a Corki. They're just pushing it in. Selfmade is going to be spotted by the Vision Ward now, and Jankos moving up towards the top side. He's going to be spotted out by the Ward, but maybe Alphari is already too far forward.
Definitely pushed up on the wrong side of this wall as well. Jankos dancing around it. Alphari doing the same. BrokenBlade is going to try and dash back underneath the tower, and Jankos will accept the fact that Alphari has been forced away from this with the cannon minion death. Could have held it just outside of the tower range, but doesn't quite manage to do it because Perkz is roaming up. And BrokenBlade and Jankos unwilling to take what could have been an outmanned fight.
And once again, intelligent setup from the side of Alphari. He maneuvers around the wall, gets out of that one. Selfmade now joins with Perkz from the mid lane priority to try and start up the red buff. Perkz finds cabs, but they're just going to be exchanging blows.
And Selfmade actually wasn't able to take away that red there. He will get the top side Scuttle Crab. It looks like as well Labrov has walked into that bottom side jungle to make sure that they know when that blue buff has started. But Selfmade might try and get a double Scuttle. Might even actually just go down towards that bottom side because he got push out of his bottom lane.
And TP's going to come through for Alphari, can get back up here. BrokenBlade obviously running with the Ghost itself, and there you have it. You said it. They get the tracking onto Jankos. He's going to go for the double Scuttle. Not too sure if he will be opting in for an evade either. It will require Perkz to get the push in the mid lane so he could join the fight, but with bot lane setting up a push, it could be a play they might be looking for, but no, Selfmade, he's just going to be backing out. His own Crocs are going to be respawning in a moment, and looks like that's just going to be the play for now.
So overall, Jankos does get a buff advantage. Will be spotted on a ward up here, but in the end of all things, Jankos actually with a slight lead. They know he hasn't started the blue. They don't know if he's just doing the grump right now, as he may look for a fight down towards the bottom side. Cannon Minion's going to spot him out, though, as he walks into that bush. And although Targamas gets the root, Jankos has been very much spotted. He's just trying to help his bot lane get this push.
Guys, I don't know where enemy jungler is, please.
Anyone?
Where is he? But yeah, he's obviously just down there to get the push in, allowing Flakked and Targamas going for a reset. And it is some tempo that Jankos kind of can allow himself to do this with. He can just default back to the blue buff afterwards. Caps still struggling a little bit in the mid lane, but Perkz, he is running out of mana. Caps does to have the teleport as well, so he can just back at any point in time if he want to, and just continue with the mid lane.
After that early sequence of events, Vitality do have a slight gold lead. That will be off the fact that Selfmade has farmed a couple of extra camps, and there's a slight lead for Carzzy in the bottom lane. So Selfmade may look for something in the mid lane. Caps is low. You do have Ghost. You could try and Ghost behind the tower, but Caps with Valkyrie and the Flash, be pretty difficult to manufacture a play.
Yeah, Targamas coming around as well, and this is what we see so often from Targamas. As soon as bot lane is pushed in, he'll join the solo laners, and Selfmade, remember, he's playing Hecarim. No Flash. He's only got Ghost. Maybe they'll catch him here.
No real CC for them, though. BrokenBlade can try and chase them, but Selfmade will be able to Ghost away and escape. kind of tete-a-tete of this early game has been very interesting to watch, but no real benefits reaped so far for either team apart from that slight extra buff for Jankos, a little bit of an XP advantage for him as well.
Yeah, and Jankos, or rather Caps, had his level 6 before Perkz does. Even if Perkz does hit 6 now here, he's really running low on mana, and supports still just shadowing around the area. This is what we see so often from G2, and Vitality, they've decided to answer it as well, with Labrov now just being around, and it's honestly a little bit of a stalemate from the side of G2. They just want to crash the wave so Caps can back without using the teleport, and it looks like that is just going to be the case. So Perkz, he's going to be stuck on the turret farming up the minions, might have to TP back afterwards, but Caps, he's got the tempo to just move back now and walk back to an even late state. Actually, Perkz might be able to do the same.
Yeah, it looks like with the minions meeting in the middle, neither of them will have to invest their TP. Caps decides to try and get the shove, meaning that now Perkz will have to TP back. Otherwise, he would lose out on that wave state. And the mental jousting continues as the cannon barrage is used in the top lane just to try and clear that. Alphari trying to get it back for himself. He has developed a sizable CS lead in the top side, kind of to be expected, both from Alphari but also from the matchup, as Labrov gets a double knock-up here. Ignite going down. Flakked is going to pop the heal. Flakked will be able to walk away from this one. Carzzy, one more auto. The Ignite won't be enough, but Flakked has to burn both his flash and heal to escape.
And yeah, and one of these reasoning here why Labrov rather is allowed to go for this is because there's actually no bush control from this side of from G2.
Oh, that was timing. He was timing flash. He was 100% timing flash in chat there, and then he flashes himself.
He did dodge the Piltover Peacemaker.
Pretty sure
now moving forward, might get rooted up. Jankos is going to be around as well. They don't have an AD carry, but they might look for play here.
Labrov still has the flash, but Jankos should be able to get the Audacious Charge. Knock up, stops the channel. Q3 enough. Jankos with first blood.
Yeah, Labrov thought he could go for it. He saw the bot lane was crashed in. He wanted to get intel on Jankos. Little did he know that he was actually behind him. And just to go back to the point as well, when Kench is out of vision and he uses a W, your opponent doesn't actually see the market that he's diving in. Yep. It's one of the reasons why bush control against Kench is so pivotal, so you don't get caught off guard, as we just saw the G2 bot lane do.
And the instant Ignite as well from Labrov as he joined meant that Flakked's heal didn't get its full effect. Alphari with Demolish here, constantly looking to harass BrokenBlade in the top lane, but we'll have another look at this.
The reaction time. Oh,
maybe it's not timing. Maybe it's not even because he chucks out a Q.
Yeah, he Q'd. He just Q flash. I'm not too sure what that was about. He even got hit by it at the same time.
It was a mental game. 7D chess.
He meant Labrov go in because of this.
You can be aggressive. I haven't got flash anymore. Genius from Targamas.
Really? Wow. Use that in your solo queue game. It's going to work out. Everyone just flash in lane. Now up towards the top side, Rift Herald has been spawned, multiple members have moved up here as well, except the AD carries, Alphari.
Caught out a little bit, but there's an advantage in terms of manpower for Vitality right now. Caps yet to join. You can see Flakked working his way all the way up from the bottom side. Will give Carzzy some time to push in. Carzzy has a large CS lead down towards that bottom lane and has got 2 plates for himself as well. Vitality were forced away from the Herald. G2 can start it, but it looks like Vitality willing just to let Carzzy continue to apply pressure towards that bottom lane.
Mid lane wave pushed in. Perkz is going to have to answer before he moves into the Herald, but Herald is of course tanky. They once again, no vision.
Vision once again. Scatter the Weak is going to get the stun. Selfmade looking for an engagement, can't find it. Caps low on mana. Perkz has a blue buff to bolster himself, but G2 will still be able to secure the Rift Herald. Perkz has control of this lane. Caps may have to go the long way round after seeing the sphere used. He decides to stay around, and Caps does have Hex Drinker here, which is probably why he's willing to just walk straight into Perkz' face, but still has to back away after the Unleashed Power connects.
Yeah, so neutral objective in terms of Herald go over to the side of G2. Vitality, they make a quick response and move down to the Drake instead. With the mid power just obtained, they should be able to pick this one up. And now the play kind of goes over to the side of G2, where they're going to be using this Rift Herald. What's the next move going to be from them? Caps, he's low on mana now. Package would be available if they want to sync up a play with it.
And as much as like a short sequence of events getting the Rift Herald is great for G2, Vitality have developed a gold lead here. They're 1,200 gold ahead. They've taken 3 plates in this bottom lane just from Carzzy having the pressure. And G2 are on the losing side of a lot of lanes. It's kind of to be expected because of the way the lanes are expected to play out.
Exactly.
But if Vitality are able to keep this gold lead moving, even that Rift Herald won't catch up the gap that G2 are bleeding.
No, that's the thing, and you're completely correct. It's the kind of fact that you had Gangplank into Tryndamere. Well, yep. Gangplank gets the push. You have Syndra into Corki. Well, Syndra gets the push. And then down towards the bot side, I may have been mistaken about how that goes, because usually I would think that when you have the double range, you could just push it in. You kind of get to take control of the lane, but Carzzy and Labrov somehow has actually managed to be the one dictating that one as well.
I feel like a lot of it comes down to that Labrov play, getting in, getting the bush control, and managing to burn the summoners on G2, meaning they have to be a little bit more defensive. Caps does have the package here. Perkz, no unleashed power for him yet. About to come on cooldown. Oh man, Caps' movement is some of the cleanest in the league.
He did that right outside of turret range. I mean, sorry, that's just impressive, isn't it?
I mean, it's incredibly impressive. You don't need to apologize for it, mate. You're allowed to be excited by good League of Legends. As Caps uses the package to clear out the wave, and what good League of Legends we have seen from Perkz and Caps across the years. Two of the best mid laners in the league. Selfmade's staying around a little bit here, but he should be able to walk away. And even, you know, when Caps came into the league in 2017, he was there to take down Perkz. That was what it felt like his duty, and then Perkz was able to fight back and fight back and fight back. And although neither of them have been the best mid laner of Spring in 2022, you know the caliber you're going to get when you see these two play.
Exactly. Rift Herald will be utilized in the mid lane, only getting up. There we go. 2 plates going over to the side of them as well there, so they will get that gold. No turret will be taken down from it, but it's set up for the play that if you get the second Rift Herald, you can always just walk back into the mid lane, use it immediately, and then you have the pressure from the mid lane where you can push it in. But early game so far, still quite Vitality favored, although it feels like G2s are making the moves. It was because they had that advantage with the Herald. BrokenBlade has popped the Ghost.
He's looking for this. Has the Fury underneath the tower. Alphari, a cannon barrage doesn't really do much against a rampaging Berserker. BrokenBlade with a solo kill in the top lane.
And just like that, that's also the cannon barrage down, so that won't get utilized for any map plays. So not only are you struggling in the solo lane now, BrokenBlade, when he finally gets back from the shop, it's only going to get worse. Vitality may be looking bot side, but it's actually Jankos finding Selfmade.
Selfmade's going to pop the Ghost to try and get away. Has stolen away that Scuttle Crab, and Carzzy continues to push in the bottom lane. 2 plates now over to BrokenBlade in the top. True Shot Barrage connects onto Carzzy, but it's a large lead now being built up for BrokenBlade. He was behind in lane, 20 CS down against Gangplank. Expected. That's how the matchup goes early on, but that single kill really starts to swing things, and if you're going to swing things in anyone's favor, swinging it in the favor of BrokenBlade, who so consistently for G2 and even for Sjokz in the past was a carry. It's a huge win for G2, especially against Alphari, who so often just dominates his lane.
Yeah, and you know, also just due to the way that Vitality quite often play, when they're playing towards a strong side, they're using a lot of vision to where multiple of their members are. So let's say they're pushing bot as 4 members, they'll use all their vision on the bot side. But they are very rare will set up just a little vision control for their weak side, which quite often is Alphari. Because of that, he gets caught overextending. So Vitality somehow will make these mistakes. But when I'm looking at Vitality right now, I'm quite honestly, I was looking at them to punish this Corki more. Caps is only happy about this laning phase right now. He only wants to scale. On Syndra, you want to utilize the early pressure you get against the Corki. And yes, they did it a little bit moving up towards the top side, fighting a little bit for the red buff, but you weren't successful in getting anything done with that. And it's kind of the situation you get put on when you allow yourself to draft a playmaker. If you don't make the plays, well, you're going to fall behind. And I'm not saying Vitality is out of this game just yet at all. It's still very much early in it. But I think with the bot lane pressure they had with Labrov coming up, G2 responded to the pressure quite well, and they haven't fallen yet with the Corki.
See how far as well, working his way down towards the bottom lane here. Taking a little bit of time away from BrokenBlade. Labrov getting deep vision in. Now Dragon available for G2 in about 30 seconds time, but BrokenBlade maybe a little bit pushed up and will be able to back away. Knows that something doesn't seem right. He sees a Caitlyn in his lane, and that's not really the person he's expecting to face.
Yeah, so they're just going to be trading sides here. Vitality is going to be aggressive on the top side, G2 down towards the bot side, and then the neutral objectives will be ready for pickup afterwards as well, because 1 minute, or 15 seconds rather, till Hex Drake spawns on the opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah, below 1 minute as well. For Rift Herald to deploy, Perkz.
Perkz going to try and flash away, but BrokenBlade can flash. Turn Perkz into a chicken. 1-for-1 is the trade. Onslaught of Shadows coming out as well as Caps underneath the tower, not yet tanking it. BrokenBlade still has the Unleashed Fury as he is able just to walk away. Still has that ultimate in his back pocket. For the moment, G2 able to get a kill, so trade it 1-for-1, get a dragon for themselves.
That's the thing, they get the neutral objective advantage. I wonder if Vitality is going to be able to set up with Perkz respawning on the Rift Herald. Because topside has just been pushed in, and they have aggressive vision from the side of Vitality in the G2 jungle. You can already see it, pink wards, wards on Raptors, wards on Crocs. A lot of the vision currently favors them. Perkz is going to TP into the mid lane, try and get that instant prior and set up for the Herald. But let's have a look at the replay once again. It's Caps looking for Perkz. putting himself in a position where he won't get stunned on the initial Q from Perkz, and then Targamas, unfortunately, 1 tower shot extra. I don't actually think it mattered. I think he just dies because he stood on top of the last spear.
Caps has to flash away in the end as well. BrokenBlade wails away on the Tahm Kench for a little bit, but it's a catfish, not a whale, so it doesn't do too much. And 16 minutes of the game, pretty even between these two teams, with a lot on the line as well. BrokenBlade on Dying Rage, still an option for this Tryndamere. Where's Alphari gonna go? You got no flash? Your barrels can only do so much. BrokenBlade didn't even need his ultimate.
See, that's my point again. Like, look at the minimap, okay? So, like, very rarely will Vitality use any wards towards the bot side. This is purely darkness for G2. They never do anything for the bot side when they're playing up towards the top side. But this is their strong side, though. Let's see what they can get done.
Well, Selfmade doesn't look too strong after all. Caps takes him out. Ace in the hole is going to hit Targamas, but he's able to survive. Perkz now not in the best of shapes. He's gobbled up. Jankos going in for the Q3, gets the knock up, and it's a double for Caps. And on both sides of the map, G2 come out on top.
Oh, and that's disaster for Vitality. They don't defend their weak side, and they don't win out on a play on their strong side. G2 dismantling that Rift Herald play, and now they're the one who's going to be resetting with gold in their pocket. Caps is sitting on a 3-0. Let's not forget, it's only a day ago since he was popping up on the SC as well, albeit that was a 10-1. Don't think that's the score he's going to be expecting this kind of game, but once again, Caps is showing up towards playoffs.
And it's something a lot of people didn't expect at the start of the split, but it's a very real possibility now that Vitality miss playoffs. 8-8. If they lose this game, they end the day at 8-9. Mad Lions 1 win behind them. If Mad win tomorrow against BDS, Vitality then have to beat out Astralis to make sure that they lock a playoff spot. Easier said than done. We've seen Fnatic fall to them in the past, and here we see Selfmade falling to Caps.
And it's a difficult situation because, quite frankly, the setup just isn't there. Carzzy is late to the play. It's Selfmade walking in alone, and yes, Perkz is there for the backup, but it's not going to do much in a 2 versus 4 situation before the rest of your team is able to join you for the fight. And that has been the story for Vitality for quite some time now. They struggle in the early game. They quite often come back in the mid game, but against a team like G2 that had the scaling aspect, like a Corki as well, and, you know, BrokenBlade just running you down on side, it's looking like a really dangerous situation. And with a composition like this, you would have expected more from them out of the early game.
I mean, Carzzy is a chunk of gold ahead right now of Flakked. That's where a lot of Vitality's power lies. The issue is, you got no one who can answer BrokenBlade right now. You don't have the most CC to stop him from just chasing you down in the middle of a fight. You've got a Devour and a Scatter the Weak, really, and maybe a Hecarim Fear. It becomes very hard to stop Tryndamere just running at you and taking out your most fed member at the time.
And let's just see it here. Mid lane prior obtained by G2. Caps is pushing in the top side. Time to trim out the vision around the Rift Herald. You can see Vitality, they don't actually want to fight for this. They're committing to a play down bot side, but BrokenBlade, one spin and he should just be out of there.
Spin to win, it seems, for the Tryndamere. Gets away, Rift Herald now secured for G2. Alongside that, the top lane tower, their prize for BrokenBlade. Just using his E to escape any danger towards that bottom side. 19 minutes in, G2 extend their gold lead. 2.9k now their advantage.
Vitality, you can see it. They're trying to commit to cross-map plays, which, honestly, if you don't win out of the Rift Herald, which they probably don't at this scenario, yes, you can look for it. You still have the pick potential in a Scatter of the Weak, but a lot of that will come down to good vision control. And that's not where I always think Vitality is that team, quite honestly. Even having a look at the map right now, it's very G2 dominated, and of course, yes, they are the team that's ahead. It's easier to obtain vision control that way, but if you don't find any pockets of vision to try and attack them from a flank position, because remember, they're squishies, it's a poke composition. Team fight-wise, Vitality, if they go even into a fight, they should probably beat it out. I say that, but BrokenBlade is 2-1 on Tryndamere. But
yeah, that's the issue now, right? Maybe you could have managed to win a team fight as Vitality if you kept BrokenBlade under wraps, if you hadn't had Alphari struggling in this top lane matchup. But once again, BrokenBlade by himself. Caps looking for Labrov, has the package as well, and that damage on the Tahm Kench is nothing to be sniffed at. What the? That was a lot onto Carzzy.
As we already said, he's not nerfed on damage, he's nerfed on package. Like, this is still the same Corki damage we'll see. And they still have Rift Herald, like they're not even using it.
He's trying to catch out Carzzy there. Carzzy back to an intelligent position. BrokenBlade continues to push in the bottom lane with the Rift Herald there to help him out here too. The target for him
They're getting so much of the map right now. They pushed in the mid lane, they forced away Vitality, they're getting the inner turret on the bot side, and Jankos is soloing up Drake at the moment. They're even gonna get a second charge here, I think, from Shelly. And that might not matter now, but once BrokenBlade start being a menace in the side lane, when Baron starts getting set up upon, well, he's gonna be a thorn in the side that you're gonna divulge multiple members on to stop, and I just don't think Vitality can do that right now. G2 with the current map state, they're looking so damn scary.
4,000 gold ahead, 2 items complete on Caps. That Manamune on its way to being a Mura mana as well. You can see Perkz went for a Verdant Barrier, just for a little bit of extra magic resist in the mid lane, but only Carzzy sits on 2 items for Vitality. Rapid Fire Cannon, Gale Force. Caitlyn can do a lot of work from long range, but can Carzzy do enough? It has not been his split. It has not been his year so far. Last year, every accolade went to him. This year, he has struggled to have an impact.
Yeah, just look at the setup currently from G2. They're pushing in from the bot side of the map. They're pushing in for the top side of the map. They have mid lane shopped in as well. Like, there's so many things right now where you have to take care of it. And it just allows you to have so much control. Yes, G2, they're not going to be starting a Baron up immediately, but it's small things like taking away your camps, waiting for red and blue buff to respawn, keeping the pressure up, and just making sure that Vitality is quite honestly not allowed to go for a play.
G2 have done that so well so far. No vision at the moment for BrokenBlade in the bottom lane, so he will back away, not knowing where Vitality are. Vitality have used their control wards to regain control of their own jungle. No real vision pushed into the G2 side of the map. And with G2 resetting now, we see the Navori quick blades complete on BrokenBlade. Jankos with a Randuin's as well, making it even harder for Alphari, for Carzzy to work their way through this G2 lineup.
I don't actually think Alphari is going for crit build either, looking like potentially Death Stance as well. He's building up towards with Divine Syndra as well. Just surviving the Tryndamere side lane, quite frankly. Flakked as well, starting to get real scary. We've not talked a lot about him this game, but he has just been on Ezreal duty. Something we quite often saw Carzzy do last split.
Yeah.
Where it was just about forfeiting lane, waiting for 2 to 3 items, and then start showing up. There's a lot of threats currently right now for G2.
And this is exactly what G2 have to do. They let BrokenBlade push in the bot side, they then push in, get vision of their own towards this blue side jungle. BrokenBlade applies pressure. As soon as you see people moving down towards him, you start up the Baron, you get teleports out, you get a cannon barrage out, and you just rinse and repeat until Vitality have no tools to answer your continued pressure around the Baron.
Yeah, but is it me as well, Medic? Or is G2 actually playing a bit more cautious than... Oh, I say that. I mean,
it's a bit cautious.
A little bit cautious in terms of what we saw after what happened against Misfits, right?
I mean,
like that was a very overzealous way of playing out the early game. Granted, it's one of the best early games we've seen from G2 all split. But you still have the possibilities to just wait it out. There's no pressure on you. You have the scaling aspect. You already have 2 Drakes. Now, buffs once again have spawned. No vision for Vitality whatsoever. It steals these small things, like taking away red buffs once again. And it's just not allowing Vitality to get any neutral gold on the map. You can only farm minion waves, while G2 can do both.
And it's the gold swing that comes from that. You're not only getting the gold for yourself, but as you say, you're denying it from your opposition. So you get 100 gold, they lose 100 gold. That's a 200 gold swing. And that's why teams start to fall behind more and more when the enemy occupies their jungle. 4,500 gold the lead now for G2. Vitality trying to do what they can to get control of this topside jungle, but you look at where the minion waves are, you look at the state of the map, and Vitality are the ones slowly being pushed back towards their own base.
Yeah, just wait as well, because Caps, Mana is not even finished. Tiamat has been completed, working his way on towards that Ravenous Hydra. When that 3-item power spike comes through, 3.5 together with more, or Hexstring of that, well, then that's going to be real scary. Then you need to get backline access. You need to get a pick on him somehow, because he's going to be outranging all your champions with those rockets. G2?
Doing exactly what you'd expect them to do in this situation. Clear out all the vision, even get to the back of the pit with that sweeper. They've missed 1 ward, but now Jankos and Targamas, when this wave pushes in, can step forward, get a bit of more vision for themselves. Perkz and Selfmade, they know that this is the play, so they're going to try and answer. They get some damage onto Jankos, but it's not enough to really force G2 to call the alarm bells yet.
Yeah, and just like that, down towards the bot side as well. Remember how low that turret was. BrokenBlade fanciers, and just like that, takes a horrible trade.
And because of that, G2 will start up the Baron. BrokenBlade, no TP on him, remember?
Exactly. So Alphari will be able to join this, and therefore G2, they have to stop this.
They do exactly that. Ace in the hole coming down, just going to stop the recall of Caps there. He will restart it. BrokenBlade continues to push in, healing up towards that bottom side of the map. Dragon up in 11 seconds time.
Yeah, and that's crucial that G2 doesn't lose this, because you can put Vitality on a 5-minute timer. Having that Ocean Soul, it's so oppressive when you're playing against a poke composition, because you get some damage down on them, they get massive amount of damage down on you, and then they just regen it all back.
One thing that G2 can do is just say, okay, we know Vitality have no bot side vision. They haven't played there for the last 5 minutes of the game. They've been focused so much on making sure they get control of this top side. BrokenBlade can just solo this Drake. It's exactly what they're doing here. Caps even used the package just to get back towards this topside river a little bit quicker to make sure that they could keep control around the Baron and allow BrokenBlade that free dragon towards the bottom side.
And it's just bad. Just standard lanes once again, just pure 1-3-1 from G2. It's quite often do we not see a 1-3-1. Like, because it's easier playing on 2 lanes, but when you have so many members ahead and when there's so much safety in it, if BrokenBlade gets collapsed on, he's got mobility in the spin, he's got the Ghost, and he's got the Undying Rage. Caps is all the time being shadowed by Jankos as well, a lot of vision control around him, and because of that, it's very hard for Vitality to commit any play on towards him. In the mid lane as well, the mobility of Ezreal, the movement speed and shielding of Makama. Vitality, I mean, they're getting dominated as it is right now.
Gold lead stays around the same, but G2 continue to be the aggressors, continue to be the ones pushing in, finding advantages. 3 items now finished on Flakked. Caps building up towards that Ravenous Hydra as well, as Selfmade is forced away by Jankos. Unaware of who was waiting in the wings, Selfmade decides he doesn't want the fight. Force of Nature on him will help him out against this Corki and this Ezreal. Of course, Mystic Shots do a portion of magic damage, so you will be getting full stacks on that pretty quickly into a Corki and an Ez. And the question for Vitality is, how do you find a way back into this?
Well, you can look for it right here. Caps, he's recalling a ward. Labrov going over.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, well. That's a long A's in the hole.
She's a sniper. She is a sniper. Selfmade lets out a little chuckle as they couldn't quite find the play a little bit late on the trigger finger there from Vitality.
And it's just like that, back to clearing out the vision. It's the same back and forth, the pendulum, medic, if you may. And it's just like G2 pushing forward, getting rid of the vision control. When G2's getting rid of the vision control, then Vitality is pushing forward, and then they are getting rid of the vision control as we have a pause that's currently just been started up.
And we'll find out exactly what is going on as soon as possible. Of course, players on the stage here, so there may be a couple of technical things happening. We'll work out what is going on as soon as we can and get back to you guys. And you do see that pendulum. The only thing for G2 is it's, you know, the last few moments have been a bit slow, even though they continue to try and push that pendulum. Really what they're waiting for is the Ocean Soul.
It's right? The quiet before the storm.
Yeah.
A lot of, actually both teams are building up a lot of gold in their inventory. You even see it sometimes when Perkz just get a scatter, and one member we saw it on Jankos in the top side as well. A lot of damage will actually come out, which is why you still have to be very calm and collected moving forward. But what we're currently waiting for is what we're just seeing now. 3 items on Caps. We wanted these 3 items on BrokenBlade, and that's where G2 will really push forward once they start moving towards that Ocean Soul as you're talking about. When that moment's hit, that's when Vitality, and I think from the spear of Perkz' scatters, will have to find a pick, will have to find a favorable fight. Because if they don't, well, that's just going to be struggling. They're trying to pull. A little bit of an Oscar moment there on the Baron.
Flakked getting best actor as he chips away at Baron over the wall just to see if Vitality would respond. As you say, probably just waiting for this Ocean Soul. Both these teams in their respective battles for playoffs as well. G2 with a win here would lock in a top 4 spot, get themselves into double elimination. Vitality need the win to make it to playoffs as Alphari is caught out and Caps on the chase. Alphari tries to flash away, the rocket misses. Alphari pops the stopwatch, and how much will that rocket singular cost G2? BrokenBlade continues to spin in, but that Undying Rage is about to expire, as is BrokenBlade shut down. If the rocket had connected, G2 could have escaped, but because it did not, G2 pay with their lives.
The rhythm was broken from G2, and they actually punished themselves for it. But still, you're not losing anything on the map. They can't start up Baron. And they can't commit to any plays. As you can see, the waves are still pushed in. Because of the map state from G2, they're still ahead, but that shut down on Caps, that's important.
Have another look at this, because as soon as Alphari's caught, he flashes, he's got the stopwatch as well. That rocket missing, Alphari would have died. True Shot Barrage comes in as well. Carzzy is taken down in the end.
Yeah, great trap placement from Carzzy though. delaying the death, allowing the rest of his team coming forward and forcing BrokenBlade to use the Gale Force to get a kill. So he can't use that item to escape. And it's back to us. That's me, that's Medic.
Well done, mate. Great at identifying people. I know there are game sounds in the background. We do have another pause coming out. The first one was for a peripheral issue that was resolved. We'll find out what this one is for as soon as we can.
No, it does not.
You can't just put it on, like, my face is already there. You
yeah,
can't
but I'd
use
love
the
to put your
telestrator
face on your face and my face on my face.
I mean, that would have been good. This time we have a peripheral issue for G2. Hopefully we're getting that resolved as soon as possible. And just those slight misplays can be a big deal in games like this, but as you say, we still had some time before that Ocean Soul was coming up. There were flashes burnt, you know, Caps lost his, Perkz lost his, and Alphari lost his, so maybe that next fight becomes a little bit more chaotic.
Exactly, and that's the thing, like, we're not watching the teams go all in at each other with everything in their inventory in terms of some of the spells that you just mentioned, but you can only imagine that Caps would have the package available for this fight, and that is something that can benefit them. The fact that he gets to have extra movement speed, zooming back and forth. When does Perkz decide to use that scatter? Because if he misses the scatter, then that's just G2 moving forward with that poke. If he holds on to it and gets the pick, that's where we start seeing the pendulum swing in favor of Vitality.
Importantly, Vitality, only Labrov has a flash. G2 have one on Jankos, Flakked, and Targamas. And as much as Flakked has not been too consequential so far this game, a 3-item Ezreal can output a lot of hurt in these later game fights. So even if you kill Caps, even if you kill BrokenBlade, you have to watch out for Flakked. He can definitely put out that DPS. So can
As you
Carzzy.
just said.
Yep. So can Carzzy.
BrokenBlade still down towards that bot side. No Ghost and no Flash, so only has the spins to get away from Vitality. They're using a lot of their pressure to gain vision around the Baron. That may be dangerous, because BrokenBlade can always just solo the Drake. And if he's allowed to do that, that's just free soul from the side of G2. So if G2 can keep Vitality here, keep pressuring Baron, then they can essentially get a free soul for themselves. Targamas, who need to be careful, pops to Caedrel as he knows the Selfmade can just onslaught of shadows onto him.
Caps is waiting in base for the package now, decides to pick it up, and will join the fight in the mid lane. BrokenBlade goes over to the Ocean Drake.
He's just gonna solo it.
Yeah, G2 are gonna get it basically for nothing. Vitality expending their time on the top side. BrokenBlade will take the Ocean Soul as we believe go into a final, third pause of the game. Hopefully final, but we'll see. Obviously, we want the players to be in the most comfortable position that they can.
So quiet before the storm, and the pauses before the storm. If the casting wasn't enough tension, well, hopefully these pauses will be. And just waiting for what's to come.
I believe this is an administrative pause. We are reviewing all peripherals for all players to make sure that we do not have another pause in the future.
Great call,
It's a pause,
honestly.
it's a pause to avoid pauses. Referees will be on stage very soon, making sure that they can go through everything. Obviously, we want all the players to be as comfortable as possible, but it is important that we maintain competitive integrity throughout the entire process.
And it's a scary game in a bit, Medic, because, I mean, now Soul has just gone over to G2, and they have that extra advantage in their roster now. Baron is still just being, I mean, claimed and reclaimed by teams. It's a little bit like King of the Hill, moving forward, sieging around it. Not so much for sieging the Baron itself, but sieging control of it for the pressure. And at some point, you have to think that G2 will go for a split-pushing strategy where they just commit members to the bot side with that low turret, or where they just move Caps forward. They've struggled to transition their lead any further into the Vitality jungle. And that's the thing that's keeping the game so close. They're not extending that vision control. It's always just around the Baron, but never enough to make sure that Vitality can't walk in there. And because Vitality is allowed to walk in there, well, that's the thing why they keep reclaiming it. It's just like such a back and forth.
And it's always the issue when you play into a team that has Cannon Barrage, that has Ace in the Hole, that has Unleashed Power. It's risky. If you ever step too far forward, you might just get one shot. And it becomes very difficult for you to actually really gain that control, especially without a true tank. I mean, Jankos here is playing tank build Xin Zhao with the Randuin Omen second, but it becomes hard for G2 to gain total control. I will say it is odd to watch the players on Vitality be in this situation. I know we've had a full split of it so far in Spring, but when you look at some of the names on that lineup, to know that yes, they should probably beat Astralis tomorrow, even if they lose this game. And
you know, the thing is, I'm not even, you can say that, but I'm not even convinced.
Yeah, no am I. That's the thing. It's just not, they haven't had a convincing split at all. And if you look at it now, you say, well, you lost to Mad Lions day one. You're losing to G2 now, very likely to lose against an Ocean Soul. Obviously, we have seen comebacks, but it's unlikely it will happen this game. And then tomorrow you play up against Astralis. Mad have to beat BDS. And if you lose to Astralis, you are out of playoffs. Perkz not being in playoffs. The guy's got 8 LEC titles. He's the most decorated player in the history of the LEC. The most decorated player we have ever seen. And he might not make it to playoffs.
I mean, yeah.
It's absurd.
It is absurd, but it's also just the fact that I think they've kind of put themselves in this situation. I think sometimes we've seen them go for plays where it's like, oh yeah, I am this person, I am this good, and therefore I can go for this play.
Yeah.
They have been trying to outplay fights where, you know, maybe sometimes you just take a step back and you realize we can do this in the normal way. We don't have to do it in the fancy, flashy way always. And like at times they just seem a little bit disjointed. But I think this game they still have the tools to come back into it because it is such a slow game where every member has been allowed to build up gold. The fact that there's no inhibitors broken down yet means that there's still no pressure coming in from a sideline outside of the Tryndamere, which still allows them to play around this pressure. And you can see that even G2 themselves recognize this by being so cautious around them. So for Vitality, yes, they have looked bad, but quite often it's been in the early game. The late game is where they find their bread and butter. And question is if they can do it now, because I genuinely believe they should have been more aggressive with this early game draft. It's not necessarily an early game draft, but I think they had more tools in the early game to be more proactive, and we just didn't see it. And when we finally get into this one again, like I think we're going to start having the fight that's going to make or break either team.
It definitely feels like that is on the horizon. Perkz having a little bit of a conversation with the ref there. We got the, what I'm sure is a very gifable reaction from Selfmade. Carzzy, it is, 10 o'clock in the evening here, maybe gamer hours, but a yawn here or there is to be expected. We'll be getting back on into the game in just a couple of moments, I believe, as we've checked all the peripherals and the ready checks are being made right now. So hopefully back on into it in a moment's time. G2 currently sitting with an Ocean Soul on their entire lineup. BrokenBlade in a very strong position in the side lane.
I was looking at some different standings as well. I wanted to see if Astralis could avoid 10th place. But due to them not having the head-to-head against BDS, unfortunately, that's not impossible. But there also was a world where Astralis didn't finish 10th. Wow.
Where they've never finished 10th.
Well, that's true. But so this
that was kind of their claim to fame, Excel's claim to fame was they've never made playoffs, and now they have. And Astralis' claim to fame was we've never been 10th, but now they have. So really,
I had a joke as well if Excel didn't make it with Caedrel as well, where it goes something like, Caedrel, as a caster and analyst, 10 out of 10. As a player, 7 out of 10.
That's a good one.
That is a good one, but I never got to use it in game because they actually made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. A lot of these good jokes pass by the wayside. We have identified a client issue during the ready check, so we're just sorting that one out. Hopefully we'll be back on into the game as soon as we can. Obviously, as I've said a couple of times, we want to make sure the players are in the best place to play the games, especially when the games have so much riding on them, like this weekend often does. It's a difficult game for Vitality to get back into, because even if you are able to find a good fight, you're not in a position to win the game from here. Vitality have the Ocean Soul. And so
you say that, right? But like we're almost 30 minutes into the game soon, right? Like one fight will just swing it. Those death timers will be very long. If Vitality manage to fight one, despite them not having success on the map, there is a world where they just completely get 1-2 picks, can pick up Baron, and then start sieging down. Like there is potential for this game from the quiet we're having in the early game to all of a sudden just completely explode.
I mean, there are many different worlds. We could go through the multiverse.
The multiverse, we already had a content shoot about it.
When you have better hair than me, there's a world where you're masters and I'm not.
There's a world where you're good at League of Legends.
Yeah, exactly. All of these things are possibilities, but I just don't think this is the world we're in. We're going to have a look at some of the key moments from the game, though, as we get ready to get on back into it. Producer has kindly informed me that we have some replays to watch. So this is Perkz getting caught out. He knew that BrokenBlade was here, but just the positioning from G2 really put him in an awkward spot.
But even this was a 1-for-1 due to Targamas walking forward, catching that Q, catching that ultimate, and a little bit unnecessary. The rest of the members of Vitality able to pine up, but it will just be disengaged. And that's just like how the story went. Vitality never found a lead in these fights, and this is the fight up towards the top side where Alphari has just been solo killed in bot. They've allocated a lot of their Vitality members on top side, and even then, they're not first to the play. It's still G2 having the better response, and these are the kind of plays that's allowed G2 to get so far ahead, despite Vitality have the CC and pick potential in a Hecarim and in a Syndra.
You look at this fight, really, that single rocket going a little bit wide would have totally changed the outlook of this one. It was a good fight back, though, by Vitality. Managing to get the kill on towards Caps, and actually BrokenBlade picking up a shutdown there just because of how much gold and how much farm Carzzy had been funneled. Counter shutdown came out for Perkz at the end.
Do you know in the LFL they build their doghouse when there's a pause?
I'll be honest, right now, I'd take it, mate.
Yeah, like, would you build a doghouse right now, or were we going to build something different? Like, so I'm Danish, right? I would love building Legos instead.
You'd love to what, say?
Building Legos.
Oh yeah, you could do some Legos, or other building block companies are available. Let's get on into the game once again. I mean, the thing with Legos is how precise they are. They're measured to like the same precision as the spaceship a lot of the time.
Enough about that, medic. Baron has been started up.
G2 going to start up the Baron here. BrokenBlade's on his way. Alphari has TP and the Cannon Barrage. Selfmade puts a ward down. Cannon Barrage would be a good position here. Caps, though, still with the package. Good scatter, as you say. Caps could get onto the backline. BrokenBlade getting behind them here as Jankos dives in onto Carzzy. Onslaught of Shadows used by Selfmade. Knocks Jankos back. BrokenBlade, but immediately dives onto Alphari. Caps with the package onto the backline. He's almost down. The ace of the hole channeled by Carzzy. 2 for 1 now in favor of G2. Alphari trying to get away. Perkz trying to do the same.
You still have to play around the poke there. There's 4 members of G2. Man, ultimates are coming down, but it's Flakked we're looking at here. He's the damage dealer.
It's BrokenBlade we're looking at right now. G2, the Ocean Soul, helping out dividends as Perkz and Alphari chased through the jungle. BrokenBlade will use the honey food as well. Perkz, Alphari may be able to get back, but G2 set their eyes towards the Baron.
And just like that, they should be able to pick it up. No way of response from the side of Vitality. And we already saw the dire situations on the side lane. Now BrokenBlade and Caps, they get to push it out. And let's just have a look at how it actually unfolded, because it starts with a very good scatter, but no immediate follow-up. And this kind of hesitation from the side of Vitality allows G2 to regroup. Jankos, he's been stacking up his Q 2 times on the Baron, flashed it forward, but no follow-up, no rockets are being hit, and it makes the fight very scattered. Caps just Valkyries in there.
Carzzy ints so hard with the ace in the hole, man.
And a little bit, yes, you are correct. It's a difficult situation. He's traded 1 for 1. Flakked's damage, then Sjokz, making sure he can't get out with Alphari, and it's just a chase down leading into the Baron afterwards.
Maybe he did it because Caps was going outside of vision, so he wouldn't be able to get the auto attacks off. We'd have to have a look at the replay, but it really feels the ace in the hole there channeled. Gave Caps enough time to get the missiles off. It wasn't the key deciding moment of the fight, but it's one of those small mechanical misplays we have seen from Vitality when it comes to team fights.
And now on to play in 2 lanes. BrokenBlade sitting with Baron in the mid lane. The rest of G2 up towards the top side. It's time to take care of the inner turrets. First one taking down. Carzzy setting up with the Yordle Snap Trap instead.
How are you going to defend if you're Vitality? Carzzy down to half HP already. 2 waves of minions pushing in. Perkz going to try and TP forward here. Selfmade steps in. Flakked. Look at the shield on him from this Karma. Mystic shots continue to rain down, not all connecting. BrokenBlade takes the mid lane inhibitor tower. G2 now advancing on 2 fronts still. Perkz has that Banshees, but that's the second inhibitor tower down as Jankos steps forward. Flakked. Arcane shifts. For more damage here, BrokenBlade left by himself.
They're just going to wait it out.
Cannon minion will help him out as well. Still a minute and a half on the Baron. G2 can play this one patiently. They're the ones with the Ocean Soul. They will heal up. The rocket's going down. Carzzy down to half. Labrov the same. Labrov has the voyage back towards its fountain. G2 now only have 1 inhibitor to play for. BrokenBlade has the mid lane push continuing. Vitality forced back towards their Nexus itself as they lose 2 inhibitors to the push.
Yeah, and you can just reset now as G2. You can play either on 1 lane by just pushing in the bot lane as 5 members, or you can keep Caps in the mid lane. Maybe, I don't actually think no package available just yet, but it's still the poke, it's still the siege, it's still the lack of wave clear with these Baron up minions. It's a difficult situation, and Vitality at some point, they just have to commit for an all-in. Grievous wounds have been picked up by Selfmade. He's sitting on a Bramble Vest. Executioner's calling on Alphari as well. But is that going to be enough to deal with the soul? I just don't think it is. There is so many factors against Vitality right now. It's the gold, it's the soul, it's the Baron, it's the inhibitors.
It's a difficult tightrope to walk for them. Of course, they do still have another chance tomorrow. They could make it into playoffs with a win against Astralis, and maybe that's where their hopes lie now, because G2
are looking to lock their top 4 spot. 10 seconds left on this Baron, but with super minions pushing in mid, BrokenBlade there as well to give them a helping hand. The trap line will hold G2 at bay. Selfmade's looking for the back line. Onslaught of Shadows going in, but only gets one fear. Jankos with the Crescent Guard will stop the advance. BrokenBlade now continues to push in. No wave here, though, for G2. No Baron remains on them either.
They can continue up the siege here. It's just about playing around the rockets. BrokenBlade, he led in the mid wave. Vitality's going to have to respond to that. Carzzy's getting low from the poke as well. Just those rocket caps going in for one more. No, it's not going to be enough. But mid lane inhibitor is still siege down here from the side of G2.
Triple inhibitor about to fall. Caps helps the minion with the final auto attack. G2 continue to poke, and when a poke comp gets ahead, it can be like an oncoming barrage, unstopping, unrelenting G2. Look at the damage on Caps, the shield and the ocean. He's back to full HP.
And not only that, just wait for topside as well. That's multiple super minions who's coming in there.
Beautiful stun, but where's the follow-up?
Yes, and once again, they have soul as well. Just hit a member, then you're back to full HP.
Carzzy stepping forward. Targamas takes a couple of shots. Carzzy's looking for the kill here. Targamas will flash away. Selfmade on the advance, but the Onslaught of Shadows not available to him. Super minions on the Nexus towers as G2 retreat, knowing 30 seconds before the Elder is their treat.
Yes, but is there a scenario right now where Selfmade somehow gets in there, Onslaught of Shadows, and gets the Elder Drake? Even with that, the fight afterwards would have to be so clean from Vitality with a mistake from G2, because we've already seen it. The range difference from G2, it's just too big for Vitality. They can't get onto the carry member. Specifically, they can't get onto Caps.
Flakked looking for Carzzy, misses the Mystic Shot, but the autos will be enough. Jankos there for the chase, and Carzzy's down. Cannon barrage onto Flakked, he QSS's and gets away, and BrokenBlade kills Labrov by himself. Caps did give him a little bit of help, but it was not necessary. G2 clean up Vitality in the base, and Vitality will have to wait another day before they see if they can make playoffs, because G2 will not give them an inch. Even on the fountain, you are not safe. As G2 kill Alphari, wait for him to come back. Let the minions do the work. The GA, no angel will save you now. G2, the devils on the rift, claim top 4.
It was a slow and steady approach to the game. But G2, they played out their composition to almost perfection. They were patient. They knew they had the side lane pressure. And quite honestly, Vitality never found their mark in the early game. And there you have it, Dylan Falco.
On his birthday, they lock in top 4. Blows out the candles. Happy birthday, Dylan. Great result for your team on the day. Great result for G2 in general as well. After a disappointing 2021, I think people wondered how well this team would perform in a top 4 lock. With another day to play is a good start for them.
And for that, I mean, G2, they're picking up form towards playoff. Yep. They had that one oopsie against Misfits, but still, their early games, despite not having many tools in them, are quite clean. And BrokenBlade finding solo kills onto Alphari. Alphari struggling once again. G2, I mean, they are outmatching their opponents. This time around, Caps didn't fall on the Corki. 2 Perkz. This time around, it was Caps who was playing around. And, I mean, Krabs is gone. This is Claps all the way. That's what we've seen the past couple of days.
He has earned the capitalization at the start of his name. Once again, key player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter. BrokenBlade, Jankos, and Caps are your options. G2 as a team had a great day today, it felt. Able to stop any weaknesses in the early game, keep the game relatively even, although Vitality did get a small lead, and then they started taking the game away from Vitality piece by piece. And always felt like Vitality really didn't have an answer when it came down to those team fights.
But it's once again like you didn't use Syndra in the early game. You had some priority, and you used it to get some of the jungle pathing in. Like, you tried to attack in there, but you never really had a specific attack on Caps. We even saw Labrov was out roaming as well, but Targamas, he was the first one every time as well.
He really was. Now, before we head to the break, Riot Games is supporting and donating to the International Medical Corps, and you can join us in the effort to provide relief to those in Ukraine and the surrounding regions. The IMC teams are responding by expanding access to medical and mental health services for those living in the affected areas and working to help refugees. Your donation can help more people receive the life-saving care they deserve. Please go to riot.com/donate to learn more. And we'll be back after the break with G2's LoL manager Romain in an interview, and Caps joining us in PGL. You don't want to miss it.